Grand Rising Soul Siblings is Shay Seeking from American Aborigines Unchained here on YouTube and Facebook. And yeah, so I'm just wanting to, I've had like an emotional afternoon. Again, excuse my appearance because I just didn't feel like I needed to really do much to do this video. And I just kind of, I was listening to this text earlier and, after like a really crazy night, and I don't know, I just cried. I think I just cried for like almost an hour straight, right? And so, I just said I wanted to read this, to you guys today. So it's called Thunder, and it's in a non-hammadi library. And it says here, I'm gonna skip the first part, but it says thunder takes the form of discourse, composed for the most part of self predication in the first person singular. Coptic, well, we'll just skip all that. Let's just see. The speaker remains unnamed, but many features in the text show that the person or entity speaking is a feminine being. The characteristics explains why the tractate was at first composed with the Isis artologies. The self-proclamation in which the goddess Isis presents herself and lists her feats, or with the public address or address of female wisdom in the Jewish scriptures. It says the genre of thunder is rather to be defined according to the opening statement of the speaker. I was sent from the power and have come to those who contemplate me, and am found among those who seek me. These lines evoke the kind of discourse by which in ancient societies an envoy of ambassador would introduce himself, name his sender, and state his qualifications and status. The Gospel of John provides good example of such declarations. Despite the absence of a clear literary structure, the text does show some kind of organization. It opens with a prologue in which the speaker identifies herself and invites her listeners or readers to be attentive to her message. And it closes with a final exhortation, to hear her and learn her words in order to live and not die again. In between, the text is made up of sections more or less organized, of which the most striking features in the constant use of contradictory statements. The feminine entity who speaks throughout thunder presents herself as the first and the last, the only one who exists and has no one to judge her. She transcends and abolishes all kinds of relationships and dependencies. Whether familial, spousal, or domestic, she declares, I am the mother and the daughter. I am the limb of my mother. I am the mother of my father, and I am the sister of my husband. And he is my offspring. Furthermore, the speaker claims two modes of existence characterized by paradox and contradiction. She is simultaneously honored and scorned, a whore and holy, despised and professed, foolish and wise. Even if the female speaker of the thunder calls for universal acceptance, being the wisdom of the Greeks and the knowledge of the barbarians, the judgment of Greeks and barbarians, she has nevertheless a precious ethnic identity. She is a barbarian among barbarians. The opposition of Greek and barbarian was well known and used in antiquity, usually in the Ptolemaic way. Here, the claim by the speaker to be a barbarian is given a rather positive value, though she is the one whose image is great in Egypt and who has no image among barbarians, called deaf and lawless, godless and uneducated. That is deprived of the Greek paideia. She is in reality life and law, and people learn from her, and the many gods of the Greek manifest her presence. All those contradictory statements are best explained if we hypothesize that the reference to the barbarians is a cryptic designation of the Jews, and the female speaker of the tractate is a metamorphosis of the Jewish wisdom of Sophia. Like wisdom, the speaker of thunder is a feminine figure who delivers a first-person speech composed of self-predictions and powerful statements, and these must be received and heard. Just like Sophia, the speaker resembles a divine entity, second only to the first principle, to which she alone provides access. But at the same time, she exhibits features that the biblical wisdom tradition attributes to the opposite of Sophia: folly, the foolish woman of Proverbs, depicted as a courtesan and a prostitute. Although biblical wisdom gives intelligence and knowledge to the simple, the heroine of our tractate, though providing learning, declares herself uneducated. She is contradictory statement, and there are many others in the tractate is best explained if the speaker is seen as a drastic interpretation of Jewish wisdom. But there are in the biblical sapintio, traditions elements that anticipate the paradoxal portrait of the speaker. Wisdom knows how to walk on tortoise paths and to torment her listeners by her discipline in order to test them. She dwells in the highest heavens and at the same time walks with the human race in Proverbs and Sirach. Therefore, the speaker of thunder is universalistic radicalization and a biblical wisdom, of which the best illustration is perhaps the Simonian wisdom of the pseudo-Clementines. An all-bearing being, for whose sake the Greeks and the barbarians fought, having before their eyes. But at an image of truth, while she was with the supreme God, the universalism of the tractate evokes also the Plutarch's idea, who declares that the gods are not to be regarded as different among different peoples, nor as barbarian and Greek, and as southern or northern, Isis and Osiris. Transcript 67. Even though thunder is indebted to the Jewish wisdom tradition, there are um, intra, wait, indications, okay, in the text that suggest other backgrounds, either Gnostic, Isaic, or philosophical. First, there is a section of the tractate, I am the wife and the virgin, and whether he wishes, and whatever he wishes happens to me, that has clear parallels in two Nag Hammadi tractates on the origin of the world and the Nag Hammadi nature of the rulers. Those parallels are so close that we are compelled to suppose that one tractate is dependent upon the other, and that three of them draw from the common source on the origin of the world and the nature of the rulers. And the parallel passages are introduced as quotations in Thunder. There is no formal indication of the citation, but the vocabulary of these lines indicate that they were borrowed from someone else and introduced into the tractate. Probably because of their stylistic similarities to the rest of the writing. Consequently, it cannot be argued on the basis of the common stock that the Thunder maintains the same Gnostic perspective as the other two tractates. Nevertheless, our tractate shows obvious parallels with Gnostic texts and doctrines that suggest it could have been composed in a familial, and Gnostic idea. It has also been suggested that the Thunder could be read in the light of the Isis artologies. In fact, Thunder shares many features with the artology of feminine persona. The self-predications themselves and an identical claim in universal recognition. Thunder speaks not far from Isis, who in many forms and new encompasses in herself all gods and goddesses. But there are irreducible differences between Thunder and Isis. The whore and the holy. Okay, let's see. Finally, many elements of Thunder point towards the philosophical model widely used in the 2nd and 3rd centuries to describe the metaphysical first principle, and especially the second principle seen as the self-generating mind. Like the present tractate, Perfect Mind, which is both the mother and the daughter, and the mother of her own father. Of course, Thunder is not the philosophical tractate, and its author wishes not only to teach the readers, but also to exhort and convert them. Nevertheless, despite its prophetic style, the tractate reflects the brand of Platonism known to us from something. So let's go ahead and read it. That's enough of that. So we're gonna go ahead and I'll come right back with the rest.